Headline Logbook here to talk about the new chapter of Deadrock. But before then, I'm going to mention that there was a chapter of Fairy Tail, not 100 Years Quest, but Fairy Tail that got dropped by Hiramashima. I'm not going to make a video on it because it's really not that relevant. It's literally just how Natsu convinced Makarov to let him go on the 100 Years Quest. It's not relevant at all. If you want to go read it, you can, but like I said, I'm not going to make a video on it. But back to Deadrock. Yakuto successfully is able to absorb the White Dragon, and he does not go on a rampage like he did last time. He's in full control of this form, which is great because now they don't have to worry about him, accidentally killing his own classmates, and he immediately starts going after the principal. And the first thing he does, he just punches him in the face. Like, this doesn't seem like something that a dragon would do, especially when you have that giant, massive body you can throw your weight around. But the first thing you do is throw a punch instead of just tackling. But I guess he wanted to force the principal back a bit, so this way he can do a breath attack. And it is a massive thing that destroys a huge chunk of the forest. I mean, this beam goes off the screen. Like, it just keeps going. I actually have no idea how far it goes, but he basically just obliterated an entire section of the forest. The vice principal does survive this attack, gets pissed off, and he starts doing what he did last time, which is he's going to educate these kids. And his version of education is literally just punching a lot, and he's basically just beating the shit out of a dragon. Like, he is generally pissed off. He resorts to even start headbutting Yakuto. It's funny that he's the vice principal. It has to be solely based on strength because he is way too much of a hothead to be responsible for anything. Because this dude freaks out every 30 seconds. Like, a white dragon appears, he freaks out. Yakuto absorbs it, he freaks out. Yakuto blasts him, he gets really pissed off, starts throwing punches like a madman. Like, no matter what it is, this guy overreacts. So yeah, Yakuto's getting his ass beat, and so the rest of the class decides to join in on the fight, and we learn that Makoto actually has a second ability outside of just raising the dead and controlling them. She can also enhance the strength of those that she reanimates, because she does that for Horizon. And it's quite a huge buff, because before, you gotta remember, he was slaughtered by the head chef of the kitchen, and now he's actually able to do damage to the vice principal after he's transformed into his second form. Now, he isn't doing the most damage, but he is slicing away at the vice principal's legs, forcing him back. As for Freya, she asks Shoko to turn to her bird form so she can carry her up to the principal, and that's when she uses her fire fist to punch the vice principal right in the eye. It's clear that these two are really just there to stall, one taking out his legs while the other one constantly punching him in the eye. Like, she does it multiple times. She's actively aiming for his eye just to fuck with him, because they both know that Yakuto has to be the one to finish him off. Yakuto finally uses his big dragon body to tackle the vice principal, but he's able to hold him off, and that's when, once again, Ryzen and Freya do their attack, but he swipes them away, calls them little pests, because he really wants to focus on the real threat, and that's Yakuto. But then Yakuto just disappears, and he's freaking out again. It turned out that Yakuto just went into his human form. And the reason for this is that it's just easier for him to fight as a human. But he needed time to process all of that power of the White Dragon and convert it into his body. I find this to be kind of odd because it was shown before when he transformed into his Black Dragon form, he was stronger than his human form. So now the story is telling me that he's got the same level of strength in either the human or the dragon form. I don't get it. I just don't get this. I hope this gets explained better because this just seems like an inconsistency in the story. Oh, and Honey's back to normal. He apparently repaired himself. I don't know how the hell he did this. Completely done off screen. And when I say completely done off screen, I mean he was in this chapter earlier, still broken up. So it literally happened in the middle of their fight. He just reassembled himself. But yeah, Yakuto is currently standing on his hammer, and Honey uses all of his strength to launch Yakuto at the vice principal. Now, obviously, the vice principal sees this as a threat. He realizes Yakuto is finally able to control the power of the White Dragon properly, starts to freak out, and then just a ki blast out of his mouth, like hundreds of lasers shoot out of his mouth. I don't really understand this because his ancestry is giant. Is it like a storm giant? I don't really understand how he has this ability. I don't know how shooting lasers out of your mouth is connected to being a giant, but it doesn't matter because when Honey threw Yakuto, he infused his lightning into Yakuto, and now he's able to control Yakuto with his lightning. So he's just guiding Yakuto between all of the lasers, all the way to the vice principal's face, where Yakuto uses his Black Dragon arm to just smash the fucker's head to nothingness. Yakuto clearly has the same idea as Freya, because he goes straight for the eye, but unlike Freya, who just causes him pain, he completely just punches his eyeball from one end of his head out the back. So yeah, one of the four major teachers that they gotta kill is dead, and most likely the strongest of the four. Well, in physical strength. The other three clearly are hacks based, especially the succubus. But yeah, the rest of the chapter is dedicated to them talking about Yakuto's curse because he apparently has a year left to live. That's what we learn, which isn't really relevant to the story because this isn't a long form manga. This was supposed to be a very short, like limited run. So I don't really see how a year can pass in the story in a short form story unless they're just going to like run through an entire school year. That doesn't make sense because once again, they've already killed 1 of 5 people they plan on killing, so it'd be kind of weird if the story suddenly had a time skip before they end up killing the next teacher. That'd be kind of weird. Yakuto then hands the book to Mago Magi and asks her to break the seal so they can learn God's secret and his weakness. And that is when we get to see God sitting on his throne. And he is somewhat entertained by the fact that the vice principal's dead. He doesn't seem concerned at all. In fact, he's already announced the next arc is going to be. He calls it the Field Day Massacre, which I'm going to assume is the classic school festival thing where you have all kinds of games, but the games in this school are going to lead to a fuck ton of dead kids. Like their version of dodgeball is going to be having literal cannonballs that explode on impact. That's what I'm talking about. And more games like that where like half the school is going to end up dead. And I guarantee he's going to have an reward system where if you target these specific students of this specific class, you'll get extra points. That's what I'm going to assume is going to happen. Of course, that would be completely unnecessary. He's God. He could just kill them all by himself at any point, but he seems to just want to have fun with this. He doesn't seem concerned at all. But hey, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up so you enjoy more Deadrock and other May things. Thank you and have a great day.